Today we're going to share a surprising story that unfolded within the walls of the Iron Arena Gym, a place known for bringing together dedicated bodybuilders, disciplined athletes, and people striving to push their limits. Amid a competitive environment often dominated by ego, a seemingly ordinary man enters to train, discreet, silent, but with a presence that stands out. What no one realizes is that behind that simple hoodie is Jason Statham, action movie star and a true example of physical discipline. However, his presence catches the attention of Ryan, an arrogant and intimidating trainer used to humiliating those he considers inferior. A silent and unexpected confrontation begins, not just of physical strength, but of character, humility, and self-control. Will Ryan realize who he's really dealing with? Will Jason allow his true potential to be revealed? This story goes far beyond the weights and machines of the gym. It's a powerful lesson you can't miss. Stay tuned until the end to uncover the surprising outcome, and of course, don't forget to leave your like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss more impactful stories like this one. The Iron Arena Gym was a well-known meeting point for bodybuilders, athletes, and enthusiasts of intense training. Located in the heart of a bustling city, its doors always open welcomed everyone from the most dedicated professionals to curious beginners seeking physical transformation. The walls were covered with motivational posters and photos of award-winning athletes. Phrases like, "No pain, no gain," and "The only limit is you" were plastered on the walls, while the smell of sweat, effort, and supplements hung in the air. The sound of electronic music pulsed alongside the metallic clanking of weights being lifted and the heavy rhythm of treadmills. It was a mix of determination and competition, where everyone seemed to be battling their own limits or showing them off to others. Among the regulars was Ryan, one of the gym's most well-known trainers. His muscular physique and imposing stance made him a prominent figure. Ryan was respected, but not out of kindness or empathy. His respect came from fear, intimidation, and his ability to humiliate those he deemed weaker. He was the type of trainer who delighted in correcting beginners with a sarcastic tone, pointing out mistakes with contempt rather than guidance. He used his knowledge as a weapon, not as a tool to help. Many admired him for his intimidating appearance, but few truly respected him. Ryan loved to showcase his superiority. During his workouts, his exercises were always accompanied by a challenging look at anyone nearby. When he saw a newcomer struggling with an exercise, he approached not to help, but to make a comment with a half-smile that would expose them. Ryan's displays of strength were a spectacle for himself, a way to ensure everyone knew who ruled that space. His loyal followers were impressionable young men who believed Ryan's arrogance was just confidence. But the more experienced members saw his behavior as the fragile facade of someone who constantly needed to prove his superiority. On an ordinary day, seemingly like any other, a man quietly walked through the gym's entrance. He wore a black hoodie, simple training pants, and a pair of worn-out sneakers. The hood concealed part of his face, allowing him to go unnoticed by most. Jason Statham wasn't seeking attention. He simply wanted a moment to train away from critical eyes and the expectations his fame usually attracted. To him, training was more than aesthetics or vanity. It was discipline, self-control, and a moment of peace. That gym was just another place where he could test his limits, challenge his body, and maintain the strict routine he had always followed. Jason began his workout with a light warm-up. He stretched his arms and legs, adjusted his posture, and took a deep breath, focusing on the present moment. His movements were precise, fluid, unhurried. He was there for himself, not to prove anything to anyone. Time seemed to slow down as he completed his warm-up, each muscle preparing for the real effort that lay ahead. In his mind, Jason visualized the upcoming exercises, mentally rehearsing each movement before performing it. Meanwhile, Ryan observed him from a distance. The trainer was used to knowing everyone who frequented the gym regularly, and that hooded face intrigued him. Jason seemed out of place in that environment of explicit vanity and competition. His disciplined yet unpretentious movements contrasted with the exaggerated performative style that Ryan so valued. To him, That man looked like a beginner trying to mimic someone more experienced, someone pretending to know what they were doing. After a few minutes, Jason moved to the free weights. He chose moderately heavy dumbbells, something balanced that wouldn't draw attention. He began a series of controlled and precise repetitions, maintaining perfect posture and coordinated breathing. His movements were mechanical, calculated, each repetition a commitment to himself. Gradually, some people began to notice his precision. There was something different about this man. His posture reflected someone who knew what they were doing without showing unnecessary effort. His gaze remained focused on the exercise, indifferent to the environment around him. When Ryan noticed a few people watching Jason, he felt the need to intervene. His position of authority seemed threatened by the stranger who trained with such precision without caring for the attention. He approached with his confident walk and intimidating posture. Jason noticed his approach but remained focused on his exercise. Ryan stopped beside him, crossed his arms, and observed in silence for a few moments, like a predator assessing its prey. Ryan made a mocking comment, implying that Jason could try something more challenging or perhaps suitable for someone truly committed. Jason finished his set, took a deep breath, and calmly turned to face him. His eyes met Ryan's, but there was no arrogance or defiance, just a disconcerting calm. Jason smiled politely and acknowledged the comment without letting it affect him. The simplicity of that response seemed to irritate Ryan, who wasn't used to being ignored or treated with such serenity. Unsettled, Ryan decided he needed to intensify his approach. He began lifting heavy weights in an exaggerated manner, grunting loudly to ensure everyone's attention. His performance was impressive, but his purpose wasn't the workout. It was the spectacle. He glanced at Jason between reps, waiting for some kind of reaction. Jason simply continued his own training, focused and disciplined. Each repetition seemed done for himself, a personal commitment, indifferent to the need to prove anything to anyone. The contrast between the two became more evident. Ryan, always seeking external validation, wanted Jason to submit to his knowledge and appear impressed. But Jason was there for a different reason. His pursuit was internal, silent, a dialogue with himself. The gym began to see the difference between the two men. Jason was an example of genuine discipline, while Ryan seemed a distorted reflection of what he believed strength to be. The tension grew, and the atmosphere seemed divided. Some still admired Ryan for his imposing presence, but many began to see Jason as someone with real strength that didn't need validation. Ryan felt his control slipping and knew he needed to take more drastic action to reassert his dominance. That workout, which began as just another ordinary day at the Iron Arena, was becoming something much bigger, a silent confrontation between vanity and humility, between the need for approval and true confidence. Ryan, determined to expose Jason, decided he needed something grand, a definitive test that would showcase his physical superiority. He wanted to prove to everyone that this stranger, with his unsettling calm, was just someone out of place. Observing the gym's flow, he spotted the deadlift area, a space that, for Ryan, was almost a stage where he displayed his power. It was there that he intimidated beginners, demonstrating brute and overwhelming strength. Ryan walked over to the area and began loading the bar with significant weights. The metal plates clanged against each other, making a sound that caught the attention of those nearby. Some people started to gather, recognizing the familiar ritual. Ryan adjusted the weight, adding the maximum he believed anyone could lift. The weight was intimidating, a visual challenge for anyone unprepared for such a level. He positioned himself in front of the bar, took a deep breath, bent his knees, and gripped the cold steel firmly. Ryan's muscles tensed, veins bulged from his arms and neck, and sweat began to form on his forehead. With a muffled grunt, he lifted the weight off the ground, his teeth clenched in obvious effort. The lift wasn't perfect, but the bar reached the required height. He held the position for a few seconds, feeling the eyes of everyone around him, ensuring they noticed his dominance. When the bar finally hit the ground with a heavy thud, Ryan lifted his gaze to Jason, expecting him to back down, to lose his composure. Jason stepped up to the bar, calmly observing the weights. He didn't seem impressed or intimidated. His serene expression contrasted with Ryan's nervous tension. Without haste, he adjusted his feet, ensuring a solid base. He bent down, gripped the bar firmly, and took a deep breath. Silence fell around them. All eyes were fixed on him. Then with a smooth movement, he lifted the weight with impeccable technique. His posture was aligned, his breathing controlled, each muscle moving in synchrony. What impressed everyone wasn't just Jason's physical strength, but the absolute tranquility with which he performed the exercise. While Ryan had made a point of showing effort, Jason seemed to be simply completing a routine workout. When he finally released the bar, the metallic sound echoed like a clear signal that he wasn't just anyone. Ryan tried to hide his discomfort with a forced smile, but his eyes betrayed his unease. Feeling the need to regain control of the situation, Ryan suggested a new challenge. He led Jason to the punching bag, hanging in a secluded area surrounded by mirrors. The bag was heavy, designed to withstand the most intense blows. Ryan adjusted his training gloves, cracked his knuckles, and began throwing powerful punches. His strikes were strong but uncoordinated. He moved aggressively, seeking to make noise to draw attention. After each punch, he glanced at Jason, hoping to see some sign of intimidation. Jason watched silently. When Ryan finally finished, breathless, he stepped back, signaling it was Jason's turn. Without a word, Jason calmly took off his hoodie, revealing a defined physique sculpted by years of discipline and rigorous training. He wrapped his hands with precise movements like someone who had done it countless times before. He positioned himself in front of the bag, focused his gaze, and began. Jason's strikes were quick, sharp, precise. His fists hit the bag with impact but without wasting energy. He alternated straight punches, hooks, elbows, and knee strikes. Each movement flowed naturally. His body control was impressive. It seemed like he didn't just train but understood the essence of combat. The sound of the hits was firm, almost rhythmic. The bag swung under control, never wildly, never exaggeratedly. The intensity gradually increased, a demonstration of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. As Jason continued striking, the eyes around him remained fixed. Some recognized the familiarity of the movements, the precision of someone accustomed to training for real fights. Ryan, who had appeared confident before, now watched in silence. His relaxed stance had vanished. His crossed arms now hid his growing tension. Still trying to save his reputation, Ryan proposed one last challenge, using the battle ropes. It was an exercise of raw endurance, one that drained the breath of the unprepared. He grabbed the heavy ropes and began to whip them vigorously. His movements were strong but uncoordinated. The effort was evident. His arms trembled, his face reddened. When he finished, he was breathless, his chest rising and falling rapidly. Jason picked up the ropes calmly. His hands gripped the heavy material firmly, his feet planted solidly on the ground. He started slowly, creating precise, coordinated waves with his breathing. Then, gradually, he picked up speed. The ropes cracked against the ground like thunder, their sound rhythmic and strong. His hands controlled each wave, each movement. The effort was evident, but his control was absolute. His expression remained focused, serene. As Jason dominated the ropes, the atmosphere in the gym seemed hypnotized. Ryan looked on in disbelief. All his efforts to humiliate Jason had proven futile. This wasn't just physical strength, it was absolute control over his own body, a rare discipline. Jason finished the exercise, took a deep breath, and gently released the ropes. His eyes met Ryan's, and in that moment, without needing words, the difference between the two became clear. Silence fell over the gym. The regulars, once skeptical, now looked at Jason with genuine admiration. Ryan, unable to hide his discomfort, lowered his gaze. Jason picked up his hoodie, calmly put it back on, and grabbed his backpack. He walked toward the gym's exit with steady steps, not seeking recognition, not demanding respect. Everyone there had understood something deeper. True strength isn't loud, it's not showy. It's silent, disciplined, and grounded in humility. Ryan remained there, still processing everything that had happened. His pride had been shaken, but something in his expression suggested a silent reflection. That day, the Iron Arena witnessed more than a physical confrontation. It was a lesson in character, balance, and respect. Jason Statham had shown everyone that true strength doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Ryan tried to regain his composure, but the atmosphere had changed irreversibly. The gym's usual buzz, filled with loud music and the clanging of weights hitting the floor, was now replaced by murmurs and exchanged glances. People, previously focused on their own workouts, were now looking directly at Jason. Some whispered among themselves, trying to confirm what they suspected: that serene, disciplined man was Jason Statham, an action movie star, a symbol of strength and physical endurance. Gradually, the truth spread. The anonymous figure that Ryan had tried to expose and ridicule was someone who had built his career defying limits, training relentlessly to perform his own stunts in movies. The recognition started as a hesitant whisper, but soon became evident. Faces of surprise and admiration filled the room. Those who had initially seen Jason as a distracted newcomer now saw him as someone who, despite all the fame, maintained unshakable humility. Jason noticed the shift in people's gazes, but his behavior didn't change. He didn't seek to confirm or deny who he was. His purpose there had always been simple: to train, challenge himself, maintain his discipline. Yet, inevitably, the revelation of his identity brought a different weight to that moment. The people who had once watched with curiosity now looked on with genuine admiration, realizing they had witnessed something unique, the true essence of someone who didn't need to prove anything to anyone. Ryan stood in the midst of it all, feeling the weight of the moment. His wounded pride was evident, but there was something deeper than the simple frustration of being outdone. It was the realization that despite all his efforts to stand out, he had gotten lost in his own ego. The discomfort in his expression gradually gave way to a silent understanding. Jason had not just won a physical challenge, he had shown everyone there what true strength and self-control meant. Jason noticed Ryan standing there, motionless, processing everything that had just happened. Slowly, he approached the trainer. His expression was calm yet full of understanding. Without the need for words, Jason extended his hand in a sincere, genuine handshake. Ryan hesitated for a moment, but soon accepted the gesture. It wasn't a forced or superficial handshake. There was a genuine exchange there, not of victory and defeat, but of respect and learning. A mutual acknowledgement that true greatness lies not just in physical strength, but in the ability to inspire and uplift others. Jason grabbed his backpack, adjusted the strap on his shoulder, and began walking toward the exit. His steps were steady, unhurried, as if that moment was no different from any other. He didn't look back. He didn't seek recognition. His presence had already left a profound mark. As he walked through the door and left, the respectful silence lingered, as if everyone there was absorbing the invisible lesson Jason had left behind. It took a while for the gym to return to its usual pace. The machines resumed their grinding noises. The weights clattered again, but something had changed. Those who had witnessed that morning wouldn't soon forget what they had seen. Ryan's behavior changed noticeably. Once proud and arrogant, he now seemed more grounded, more attentive to those training around him. Over time, his corrections during exercises stopped being taunts and became genuine guidance. He began to listen more than he spoke, to understand more than he judged. Many of the regulars began to see the gym with new eyes. What had once been a competitive and vanity-driven environment became a more welcoming space. Jason's presence that morning transformed more than just a moment. It changed the dynamic of that space. Those who trained there began to understand that true growth comes from within, that discipline is more powerful than showmanship, and that real strength doesn't need to be broadcast. Ryan, in the days that followed, often reflected on what had happened. The memory of Jason's calm gaze, his unbreakable composure in the face of challenges, and his lack of need for external validation inspired him. Gradually, he began to seek something beyond physical appearance. He wanted to be someone others could rely on, not someone who intimidated. His training changed. His goals became more internal, less focused on vanity and more on building genuine strength. As for Jason, he continued on his path. His training at that gym had not been planned to impress or teach, but it ended up becoming a powerful example. For him, every place he trained was just a space to continue his routine, his discipline, his own journey. Yet unintentionally, he left an invisible legacy at the Iron Arena. His example showed that true greatness doesn't lie in standing out, but in staying true to who you are, regardless of recognition. The impact of that morning went far beyond the time Jason spent there. The gym, once a place ruled by ego and competition, became a more united space where respect mattered more than appearances. Jason Statham's legacy that morning transcended the physical and touched the essence of everyone who witnessed that demonstration of humility, discipline, and true strength. Jason Statham's discreet yet striking presence at the Iron Arena showed everyone there that true strength doesn't need to be displayed with arrogance. His quiet discipline, absolute control, and humility served as a lesson not only for Ryan, but for everyone who witnessed that unforgettable day. Ryan's transformation, once driven by ego and the need to prove his superiority, became proof that genuine respect is earned through integrity and example. The gym, once a competitive and vanity-driven environment, became a space for growth and unity. If you enjoyed this inspiring story, make sure to leave your like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to activate the notification bell so you don't miss more impactful stories like this one.